Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows.
An episode of The Shadow. Bill Johnstone, Margot Anderson, I gotta say it right, from 83 years ago, October 15th, 1939, and The Village of Doom. And we thank you for tuning in on this Saturday. This is the 15th day of October, 288th day of the year, 77 days remaining until we get to 2023. The Edison Electric Light Company began operating on this date in 1878 at Vincennes, outside of Paris on this date in 1917. Dutch dancer Mata Hari executed by firing squad for spying for Germany. Now, the aircraft, the Graf Zeppelin, completed its first transatlantic flight on this date in 1928, landing at Lakehurst, New Jersey. The New York Municipal Airport, dedicated on this date in 1939, it would later be renamed LaGuardia Airport. A satirical social comedy film and commentary film starring Charlie Chaplin, the Great Dictator, released on this date in 1940. I Love Lucy premiered on this date in 1951. In 2012, it was named the best TV show of all time in a survey conducted by ABC News and People magazine. The first modern computer language, Fortran, first shared with the coding community on this date in 1956. That was one of the things I had to learn. I did not learn COBOL, but I did learn Fortran back in 1971, 2. That was a challenge back in the day, but the good thing is that Fortran was close enough to BASIC so that in the 80s, when I was programming my Radio Shack computer, I was able to use that old Fortran knowledge because a lot of the language was the same, or similar, I should say. Released on this date in 1961, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Shop Around. Smokey Robinson tells the story of how this hit was recorded in an early morning session by Berry Gordy.
The record had been off for about 2 weeks, and about 3 o'clock one morning, Berry calls me up and he says, "Hey man, what's happening?" I said, "What's happening? What time is it? 3 o'clock in the morning, what's happening?" He said, "Yeah," he said, "I want you to get the group together and come to the studio right now." So I said, "Barry," I said, "wait a minute, man, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What are you talking about?" He said, "Because for 2 days I have not been able to sleep, and I keep thinking about the Shop Around record, and I want to change it. I want to change the beat on that, and I want you to get the group together. And I've already called all the musicians and bring the group to the studio, and we're going to re-record it right now." So I said, okay. I got up, I got all the group together, we went over there, and everybody showed up with the exception of the piano player, and Barry played the piano on the record himself. And we re-recorded Shop Around and his idea of it, you know. And it was a big, big smash hit, of course. I've never regretted getting up, going over there to do that, you know. I'm so happy that he did that.
It was a huge hit for Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Shop Around, recorded on this date in 1961. Now, the National Coordinating Committee to End the War in Vietnam staged the first public burning of draft cards on this date in 1965. It resulted in arrest under a new law. Black Panther Party, created by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale on this date in 1969. In 66, I should say. 3 years later, on this date in 1969, hundreds of thousands of people took part in national moratorium anti-war demonstrations across the country. Among those to speak, Mrs. Martin Luther King Jr.
Tonight, we are saying that we, as the American people, have taken up the night watch, and we have moved to break the betrayal of our own silences. We have seen the plunder of thousands of villages. We know of the destruction of life and spirit and hope. And we recognize that the only solution that is fitting to the problem is to bring the boys home.
The voice of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s wife on this date in 1969. Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev awarded the Nobel Peace Prize on this date in 1990 for his efforts to lessen Cold War tensions and open up his nation. NASA's Galileo spacecraft passed within 112 miles of Jupiter's moon Io on this date in 2001. In 2005, a riot in Toledo, Ohio broke out during a National Socialist neo-Nazi protest, over 100 arrested. A magnitude 6.7 earthquake rocked Hawaii on this date in 2006, causing property damage, injuries, landslides, power outages, and the closure of Honolulu International Airport. In 2013, a 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck the Philippines, resulting in more than 215 deaths. And it hit an area where I had been traveling, that it would have been 3 weeks earlier. And to see the beauty of so much of that damaged by the fury of nature was just shocking. Passing away on this date in history, the Dutch dancer spy, as we mentioned, Mata Hari, who was put to death, a suicide by Herman Goering on this date in 1946. Composer Cole Porter passing away. Pat O'Brien, the fine actor. Mrs. Ernie Kovacs, Edie Adams. The game show host, Seven Keys, Now You See It. One of the later renditions of Concentration, Jack Nars passing away on this date, along with Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen. This is the birth date of somebody who most youngsters know as Madge. But we remember her from her many roles in radio, including Boston Blackie, Casey Crime Photographer, Secretary Della Street on radio's version of the Perry Mason, Radio City Playhouse, and so many more. This is the birth date of Jan Miner.
Madge, the hands fell off this cloth.
Ah, you should be so lucky.
Oh, why don't I try for these?
Try everything and use Palmolive dishwashing liquid. It softens your hands while you do the dishes. You're soaking in it.
Dishwashing liquid?
It's Palmolive.
Jan Miner, born on this date in history. She passed away back in 2004. Happy birthday number 87, the man who sang about the eve of destruction, Barry Maguire, 87 today. Birthday number 85 for Alice, Linda Lavin, the Carpenters' pianist and composer. Did so much good work. Richard Carpenter, 76 years old today. The man who sang about The Lady in Red. Chris de Burgh, 74 today. From the Jackson family, Tito Jackson, 69. Very funny man. Had a lead role in 10 Things I Hate About You. Not the lead, but a leading role. Larry Miller, 69. The Duchess of York. Sarah Ferguson, 63. Also turning 63 today. The man whose cooking was summed up with a sound effect.
Bam, 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 bam. This season.
Emeril Lagasse, who's cooking, it was crazy. Emeril Lagasse, 63 years old today. Also, J.C. Velasquez, the contemporary Christian singer, 43 today. And Keisha Cole, 41. Those some of the people who celebrate the 15th day of October as their birthday. If this is your birthday,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
From 83 years ago, October 15th, 1939, The Shadow. That's up next on this Saturday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. No doubt. This is why so many people are joining MediShare right now. MediShare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. MediShare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. And MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that's worked beautifully for 29 years. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second. And if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Bill Johnstone was the voice of the Shadow for 5 seasons. Orson Welles, believe it or not, even though he's very well associated with the character, he only served for 1 season as the Shadow. And then Brett Morrison had 10 years in 2 separate runs, along with John Archer and Stephen Courtley. The Shadow, and that's what you're going to hear on this Saturday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Bill Johnstone, October 15th, 1939. This episode, The Village of Doom.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows.
The Shadow, mysterious character who furthers the forces of law and order, is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man about town. The Shadow uses his hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so that they cannot see him. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margot Lane, is the only person who knows to whom the unseen voice of the Shadow belongs. Today's story, The Village of Doom.
Well, Margot, here we are. How do you like it?
Oh, it's glorious, Lamont. What an ideal place for a picnic.
I thought you'd approve of it. Well, now, let's unpack the lunch, eh?
Oh, now, wait a minute. That's my job. You just sit there and enjoy the scenery.
All right.
Oh, this is fun. How did you ever find this spot, Lamont?
Oh, I've been holding out on you. I used to come here when I was a little boy.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I think the last white man to set foot here was one of the Spanish conquerors.
Oh. Well, it's certainly remote and so peaceful and quiet.
Mm-hmm. That's why I picked it. No one ever comes here.
Is that a promise? Here, go away. Get away from that chicken.
Hey, scram there, scram.
Oh, Lamont, he's got the chicken.
I'll fix that right now.
Look out, Lamont, you're going to fall.
Shall I chase him?
Well, not that I don't think you couldn't catch him. I wouldn't bother. I
Okay.
thought no one ever came near here.
Well, I wasn't counting dogs.
That's a nice start. Well, we'll just have to struggle along in the salad and sandwiches. Here, will you open these olives?
Why, certainly. Let's see. Directions say just twist the new improved easy open top. Now, easy open top.
Trouble?
No. Imagine how tough this would be if it weren't for the new improved easy open top.
Oh, still it is here, Lamont.
Hey, did a dog run through here?
Yes, he just...
Oh, thanks.
Look out for that salad bowl.
Sorry.
Well, we now have salad garnished with footprints.
Oh, Margot, that's a shame.
Who was he, the son of the Spanish conqueror?
Oh, look, all I know is that it used to be very quiet here when I was a boy.
Well, that certainly dates you. Did you get the top off the olives?
Not yet. Just twist the top. What are you laughing at?
Lamont Cranston, noted criminologist, solver of mysteries, and he can't get the top off a bottle of olives.
Well, for your information, young lady, this is the toughest case I've ever had.
Oh, let them go. Just relax and enjoy the serenity of nature.
Hey, did the boy go through here looking for a dog?
Yes, right that way.
Thanks.
Wait a minute, come back.
What for?
You forgot to step in the salad.
Oh, I ain't got time.
Well, you know the quiet little spots, all right.
I'm sorry, Margot.
Oh, come on, I was only kidding. Here, turn on the portable radio. We'll have music with our picnic. There's still sandwiches.
All right. Well, let's see now. See what we've got here. Ham?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Swiss cheese.
Oh, there. That ought to scare off the next boy who's looking for a dog. Oh, don't look so glum, Lamont. I didn't mind the interruptions.
Oh, I'm not worried about the interruptions.
Well, then what is it, darling?
These olives.
We interrupt our dance music at this time.
Well, here,
to bring
have
you
a
special
sandwich.
broadcast by the Safety Committee of the Town of Old Mill. Go ahead, sir.
Good.
My message may sound unusual to those who are listening. I'm speaking for the citizens of Old Mill in a direct appeal to the man who calls himself the Shadow.
Lamont, did you hear
We're
this?
aware of your splendid work in the interest of law and order, and we take this means of trying to contact you.
What can it be?
Well, let's listen.
A strange and unexplainable force is slowly but surely wiping out our entire population. All other agencies have failed to cope with this terrible situation. Unless we get aid at once, our village and our people are doomed. Please, please, Shadow, help us.
Turn it off, Margot.
I make this...
Do you know anything about Old Mill?
Well, I've driven through there. It's a quaint little place. About a 2-hour drive, I should think.
Come on, let's get along.
What are you going to do?
I don't know exactly, Margot, but perhaps I can at least demonstrate to the Safety Committee of Old Mill the old truism it pays to advertise.
Pull over there. Yeah, you want the whole road?
Yeah, come on, step on it, step on it.
Oh, it's slow driving, Lamont. Where do you suppose all these people are coming from?
I don't know. Cars are loaded with bits of furniture and personal belongings. It's possible they're fleeing Old Mill.
They're certainly in a panic.
Look out, Margot. That car's stuck right in the middle of the road. Stop alongside of it.
All right.
Pardon me, sir. Could you tell me how far it is to Old Mill?
Old Mill? Did you say Old Mill?
Yes, we're near it, aren't we?
Too near it, mister.
What seems to be the trouble there?
Who knows? All we know is that people die. Everybody in Old Mill has lost someone. Took my wife, it did.
You mean she was killed?
Maybe. Maybe she just died. Nobody can tell how it happens, but every night it's somebody. Those that have sense have gotten out. There's hardly anybody left.
They're all gone?
All but a few fools that think they can fight it out. But they'll die too, mark my words.
There's a car coming, Margot. Let's go.
Okay.
I've warned you, mister. Go back. Go back. You're driving till you do.
Lamont, I have a sneaking suspicion your deductive powers are in for a few hot licks, swingingly speaking.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised, Margot. And in the same vein, may I remind you that this little symphony will be conducted by the Shadow?
We can't spend the rest of our lives bottled up here in Town Hall.
We've got to stick it out. I know most of you men want to leave Old Mill. I don't blame you. But we just can't turn our village over to this thing.
We've tried everything we could think of, and still our people die. Why, we ain't got enough men left to man the Old Mill power plant. Look at us, sitting here in candlelight, waiting. For what?
I'm telling you, we've got to stay and lick this thing.
But how, Harley? How?
You've tried to reach this here Shadow, and he hasn't showed up.
I don't think the Shadow can do anything about this.
Perhaps. But at least I can try.
Say, somebody's in the back of the hall.
Yeah. But I don't see anybody. Who's back there?
The one you've been seeking, gentlemen. I am the Shadow.
The Shadow?
He's come.
He's here. What did I tell you? Shadow, I knew you'd come.
I hope I can help you. Tell me what it's all about.
I don't know that there's so much to tell, Shadow. The story's been the same every night for months. Not a night passes that somebody in the village doesn't die.
What causes the deaths?
We don't know, Shadow. We haven't found a single mark on any of the bodies. If it was murder, there'd be some...
Get out, all of you!
Raleigh Gordon. What's the matter, Raleigh?
It's come again. It struck once more. Now get out while you can.
Stop it, Raleigh.
All right.
Now, tell us calmly. Who is it this time?
It's my curse to have to tell it. The name kind of freezes on my tongue. But you've got to tell us. It's kin to one of us here. We got to know.
Come on, Raleigh. Out with it.
Harley.
Yes?
God help you, man. God help you.
What? It's one of mine.
Your little boy.
No. A baby.
It can't be.
An innocent baby. Are you sure, Raleigh? Sure he's dead?
I wish it was just a dream of mine, but it just left your missus, Harley, sitting glass-eyed.
little tyke in her arms.
My son. My little boy.
I'm not waiting any longer. I'm getting out of Old Mill. Meat!
That's enough for me. I'm
Run for your lives, men. Run for your lives. Let's get out of here.
I'm sorry, Harley. Very sorry.
Oh, Shadow. You came too late.
I'm afraid so, Harley.
He was all we had. Why did it have to be him?
Harley, go home now. Your wife will need you.
Yes. Poor Sally. She'll need me. I'll need her.
Margot, step on it. Follow that car.
What's the matter, Lamont? I've never seen you so excited.
The son of that poor man ahead has just been killed. The Shadow's after a baby killer.
Oh, Harley. She's been like that ever since it happened. We can't get the baby out of her arms. She just sits and rocks back and forth and back and forth.
Sally, darling. You know who's talking to you, don't you?
No. Sure, I know.
October 15th, 1939, The Shadow.
And you're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. The news from that Sunday, 83 years ago, next. Thanks for spending part of your Saturday with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of The Shadow starring Bill Johnstone and Marjorie Anderson from 83 years ago, Sunday, October 15th, 1939. In the newspapers of that Sunday 83 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Nazi Germany struck one swift blow yesterday in her announced campaign to wrest the title of Mistress of the Seas from Great Britain. A torpedo from an unseen U-boat sent the mighty 29,000-ton floating fortress Royal Oak to the bottom of the sea, with a loss of about 800 of her complement of 1,200 officers and men. The announcements of the sinking dwarfed all other European news yesterday. It caused wild celebration in Germany and was seized on by the Nazis as a definite harbinger of future days, when German undersea and air forces will sweep Britain from the seas. A former employee of Amtorg described the Soviet trading organization to the D's committee in Washington yesterday as ostensibly a commercial agency which undoubtedly has connections with the Russian Secret Service. The witness, Robert Pichoff, pictured Amtorg as a beehive of Soviet spies who used the employees as operatives, quoting, "One OGPU agent will ask you to obtain some information, another agent will ask you for something else, and we were constantly being asked to obtain information." Through connections with the Communist Party, Pichoff asserted Amtorg also assisted numerous Soviet trade missions to obtain industrial secrets in American factories. The European war will bring before President Truman's International Conference on Refugees opening Tuesday the question of expanding the work of assisting German political exiles so as to include other peoples scattered by this conflict. This will be discussed by the meeting for which Lord Winterton, the chairman of the Intergovernmental Committee for Political Refugees, Herman Emerson, director, and Paul van Zeelen, former premier of Belgium, are coming to Washington. President Roosevelt, who convoked the gathering, will preside over the first meeting and read an address. Subsequent meetings will be held at the State Department. Senator Lundeen, the Minnesota farm laborite, suggested during Senate neutrality debate yesterday that the U.S. seize British possessions in the Caribbean in payment for the war debts and let himself in for a denunciation barrage from administration supporters. In the course of a speech opposing repeal of the arms embargo, Lundeen said that if the U.S. armed forces took over the British West Indies, there wouldn't be a shot fired because of the European community and the conflict there. They, England and France, are pretty busy on the Western Front. 51-year-old Dominic Rodino, Philadelphia shoemaker, convicted yesterday of first-degree murder in the three men in a boat drowning of Joseph Arena in Cape May Courthouse, New Jersey. and was sentenced immediately to life in prison. And motion picture actor Claude Rains reported resting easily in the University of Pennsylvania hospital yesterday after undergoing a hernia operation there. Rains, who has a farm nearby Cheyenne, became ill while making a radio broadcast Wednesday night. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, October 15th, 1939. On your radio, The Shadow, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Give me the baby, Sally.
No. Nobody can take him away from me. Nobody. They're all trying to tell me he's dead. He's not. I know.
Yes, Sally. Our baby's dead. We've got to be brave.
No. You're wrong. You're all wrong. Death is horrible. Death is ugly. And look at my baby. He's beautiful. He'll stir in a while. His eyes will open. He'll wake up and cry for his bottle.
Sally. Oh,
don't give way, Harley, don't.
Will you all go now, please? You'll frighten my baby when he wakes up. He's afraid of people. Somebody frightened him once. Poor little fella. And he never got over that.
Sally, don't. Please don't.
Harley, let me speak to your wife.
Lord help us, where is that voice coming from?
Mrs. Prentice, listen to me.
Who is that? A voice called to me.
It's a friend, dear. One who has come to help us.
But I don't see him.
No, you can't see me, Sally. But I'm close to you. As close as the spirit of that little baby will always be.
His spirit? Are you telling me my baby's gone, too?
No, he's not gone. He's closer to you than he was in life. He'll always be near you.
Yes, always. Near me.
Now, Sally, give up the child.
Here, I'll take him.
Give up the child.
There. That's a good girl. I'll put the little darling down in the divan.
Give up my baby. I did, didn't I? I gave up my baby to the voice. I'll never get him back again. He's gone.
Sally.
He's gone. My baby's gone. My baby's dead. Dead.
Sally! Sally, come back, Sally!
Give me the child. I want to examine the little fellow.
They all examine our dead. What good is it? Nobody knows anything. Death will come just the same.
Perhaps, but here, watch this.
What is it?
As all the others, cleverly, fiendishly, this infant has been murdered.
October 15th, 1939, The Shadow on this Saturday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion follows these important words from your favorite radio station. Better late than never on Sunday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of Casey Crime Photographer starring Stotts Cotsworth and Jan Miner. That'll be tomorrow on Classic Radio Theater from 75 years ago, October 16, 1947, The Camera Bug. A young photographer trying to get a job with Casey on the Morning Express newspaper comes up with some fine action pictures of a murder. That's on tomorrow's Classic Radio Theater, but right now the conclusion of The Shadow from October 15th, 1939, The Village of Doom.
Well, Margot, I've all deserted the town. We're all alone now.
I know.
Let's look about. I want to think this thing out.
You've definitely decided it's murder, Lamont?
Definitely. If I'd been a moment late in getting to the Prentice home, the one little telltale bit of evidence would have disappeared.
Oh, it's ghastly.
I found it just under the child's chin. The most minute little break in the skin. Even as I looked at it, the skin drew together and the tiny break was gone.
No wonder the authorities could find no mark of violence. I suppose all the deaths had been brought about in the same manner.
Exactly. The poison killed and immediately eliminated all traces of itself. Clever device, eh?
I hate to have the inventor for a playmate. What sort of a poison is it, Lamont?
I think it's a concoction developed by a small tribe in the Congo. Sadusela, they call it. They make it from herbs found only in that locality.
And you say it leaves no trace?
None whatever. It passes quickly through the blood. When the body temperature drops the least bit, the drug oxidizes and disappears, so even a doctor couldn't trace the source. I've never heard of it outside the Congo.
However did it find its way to this little hamlet?
That's what puzzles me, Margot. If we knew that, the rest would be simple.
Oh, Lamont.
You frightened, Margot?
Well, I'm not entirely at ease. An empty village can certainly be a ghost-like place.
Yes. Look. See how quickly people left. Most of them didn't even wait long enough to close their doors.
The village deserted.
Margot.
Yes, Lamont?
I'm going to ask you to do something that's going to take quite a bit of courage.
Well, Lamont, right now I'm kind of short on courage.
Would you be afraid to spend the night here?
Offhand, I could think of things I'd rather do, but if you think it's necessary, I'll stay.
Margot, I can't leave here until I avenge the death of that little child.
Then, of course, I'll stay.
Good. We won't be short of living quarters. You can make your own selection. There are plenty of empty homes. Margot, listen.
What is it, Lamont?
I hear footsteps.
Footsteps?
Look, Margot. Coming this way.
An old woman.
Step back in the shadow of the porch until she passes. All right, Margot. She's gone.
Well, I wonder who she is.
Rather a courageous soul, braving this thing alone. Let's follow and see where she goes. Yeah, she lives in there, all right. She's lit the candles.
Awful old shack. But it's certainly on a beautiful site.
This hill commands a view of the whole village. Oh, wait, Margot. There's a name on this rural mailbox.
Oh, yes. C-A-R-S-T. Carstairs.
Let's go, Margot. I'd like to have a talk with the old lady.
Well, how can we explain why we're here?
Let me do the talking.
Pleasure's all yours.
Yes, but I don't fancy the old girl.
Well, what do you want?
Pardon us, but you see, we had trouble with our car. We thought you might have a telephone we could use.
Got no use for them.
Come on.
It's all right, Margot.
Heavens, what's that?
Gave you a good scare, didn't it? Oh, he takes good care of me, don't you, Arcus?
Argus, good boy. Good boy, Argus.
Yes, Arcus, good boy.
Why, it talks.
It's a jackdaw, Margot. Member of the crow family. Quite a bird you've got there, Mrs. Carstairs.
What? How'd you know my name?
Why, we saw it on your mailbox.
You're a sharp one, ain't you? What you doing here in Old Mill?
Well, we've taken a house down on Main Street.
Are you mad? You know what you're doing? Ain't you heard what's happened to people who's lived here?
We've heard all about it. Made it easy to get a house, as a matter of fact. You know, it's my idea that plague, or whatever it was, is all over now.
Pretty sure of yourself, ain't you?
Well, don't you think so? You're staying here.
I'm an old woman. Besides, I ain't afraid of death.
Death.
Shut up, Arcus.
Argus, good boy. Light.
Shut up, I said, Arcus.
Oh, look at that. He keeps looking down toward the village. Is he afraid, too?
It's stalking the town again. He knows. Arcus knows. Somebody's going to die. Tonight.
Yeah. I guess you'll be comfortable in this house, Margot.
Thank you, Lamont. What are you going to do?
I'm going downstairs. Sit on the porch and watch for developments. You go to sleep and don't worry.
I just can't get that old woman out of my mind. Horrible-looking creature, wasn't she?
You know, Margot, there was something familiar about that face. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before, but I just can't place it. Well, Margot, I'll go on downstairs. Don't forget to put out the candles.
No, I won't. Good night, Lamont.
Good night, Margot.
Oh, tired. Who's that? Lamont. 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 Lamont, it's come. I've seen it. Lamont, don't you hear me? Lamont! Lamont!
Argus, good boy. Good boy.
No, Arcus, bad boy. You didn't do as I told you. She's still alive. Yes, I can hear her yelling down there.
Right, there.
You didn't wait long enough after the light went out. You go back again.
Right.
That's right. You go where the light is. This time complete the job, but wait till the light goes out. Then do just what I've taught you to do.
Argus, good boy.
That's right. You be a good boy. Here, I better file your beak down a little sharper. Keep still. There. That's better. One peck, and it's done.
There.
All right. Don't be in such a hurry. Here, dip your beak in the poison. Then off with you. That's it. We'll teach those two fools. You mustn't fail this time, Arcus. Arcus, did you hear that too? What you looking in the corner for? See something, do you?
Yes, Arcus sees something. He sees me.
You? I don't see you. Who are you?
I am the Shadow.
The Shadow. Well, now, ain't that interesting? You're the great invisible crime expert.
You've heard of me, I see.
Oh, indeed I have. And who hasn't? But what could you want with a poor old woman like me?
You know full well what I want with you.
Oh, have you come to ask me to help you solve the mystery of Old Mill? Is that it?
The mystery of Old Mill is already solved. I know the identity of the fiendish murderer.
You don't say. Well, now, ain't that fine? Who might it be?
It's a man. By the name of Matthew Carstairs.
Huh?
That sent your hand to your head, didn't it? You might as well take off the wig, Matthew Carstairs. It'll serve you no longer.
Oh, you're only guessing. You don't know. You're trying to trick me.
I knew your face was familiar the moment I saw it. I finally recalled you had a case in court many years ago. You claimed that the entire town of Old Mill rightfully belonged to you.
All right, Shadow. So long as you know just so much, you must know, too, that the title of the land never passed from my ancestors. It's mine.
The court denied your claim.
The court robbed me.
You swore that someday Old Mill would be yours. That was a long time ago. The obsession drove you to this campaign of murder. You hope to make good your threat to the court.
And I will. I'll have Old Mill to myself, and you can't stop me. I have a feudal claim to the land, but a claim just the same.
The state executioner has a claim on you, Carstairs.
Hey, I've got a gun, and I'll use it if you come near me.
You can't see me, Carstairs. Have you forgotten that?
No, but the jackdaw can. His eyes follow every move you make.
Put that gun away.
I'll put you away first.
You're terrifying the bird.
No, Arcus, go away.
Right. There.
Look out, Carstairs.
No,
the bird.
Not me, Arcus, not me. Don't. Oh.
It was the flame from the gun. The birders carried out your orders, Carstairs. He struck where there was light.
Argus, good boy.
Yes, Arcus. I guess you are a good boy. We nearly had Old Mill.
Good boy. Dead.
Well, Margot, the jackdaw's been destroyed. Carstairs is dead. And the village of Old Mill lives again.
Lamont, how did you ever happen to suspect Carstairs?
Well, it was a series of fortunate circumstances. First, the face was familiar. But more important than that, I noticed several trophies in his shack that unmistakably came from the Congo. Presence of the strange poison was easily understandable then.
Oh, I'm proud of you, Lamont.
You shouldn't be.
Why not?
I still can't open this bottle of olives.
Oh, have you been carrying them around with you all this time?
Mm-hmm. And take them, with my compliments. Here.
Give up?
Mm-hmm.
What are you supposed to do? Twist the top like this?
Yes, but it's impossible to... Margot, you opened it.
Lamont, will you have an olive?
Today's program is based on a story copyrighted by the Shadow magazine. All the characters and all the places named are fictitious. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. The Shadow magazine is on sale at your local newsstand.
The weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay. The Shadow knows.
Going back 83 years, The Shadow here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We thank you so much for making us a part of your day, and we also thank this radio station and their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every Saturday at this time here on your favorite station. Now, if you miss a day, you do not have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. I know that a lot of the stations have sports right now, and so we may not be on the air each and every time. But you can always catch our shows at classicradio.stream. I've also got a list there of places where you can download the shows if you'd like to keep them forever and ever. You can also contact me there. You can learn how to build a classic radio collection of your own, find our social media links. And if you'd like to help us acquire additional series, like we just acquired a whole run of Casey Crime Photographer and some Dick Tracy and Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy, you can do that by going to there as well and buy me a coffee. That buy me a coffee money doesn't buy me coffee, but it buys us great classic radio shows to bring to you here. And please tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.